Okay, let's start. Thank you for attending today's webinar. Today's webinar topic is about the digital health frontiers, particularly telemedicine, home care, remote patient monitoring, and digital therapeutics convergence. So this is the result that I have intensive research and analysis for a year for this very important component of the digital health. And today's topic will be very broad, so I will share what I'm going to talk about, and after this webinar, the recording and my presentation will be shared. And during my presentation, if you have any comment or question, please leave it on chat, and then we will back to you after my presentation. We'll have an interactive Q&A session. Okay, so I will go to slide 1. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about today is first to talk about digital health global ecosystem and startups landscape as of the half of this year, and global digital therapeutics startup landscape, and global digital therapeutic startup yellow book that I compile, and then digital therapy global patent owners landscape, and particularly I'm an innovator and also a patent attorney. So I'm particularly very interested in the innovation status for the patent analysis and what the current status of the digital therapeutics, particularly there was some issue with the financial hurdles, and global remote monitoring startup landscape, and also talk about the yellow book and then what the current status trend. And then I'm going to talk about what is the difference between the remote patient monitoring and remote therapeutic monitoring. And they're very similar, but different in some area. And I'm going to talk about digital therapeutics and remote monitoring and the evaluation product framework. So that's very important. And I'm going to talk about what I'm doing recently about this topic. And then cutting edge digital health solution, particularly much focused on DTX, and some RPM, RTM actually can involve in the current healthcare workflow, so that they should be like, for example, FDA clearance in the United States, and then have a 3 years clinical trials. And then I only select among about like 300 candidate, I only select about 50 that are within this category. And then what is with the synergy in integrating DTX and with the remote patient monitoring, and about what the current status of the remote the telemedicine and home care, and telemedicine and home care, the status. And particularly, I'm looking at some specific cases, and particularly that a lot of the part of the digital health is focused on mental health. So I'm looking at in the different level about the mental health convergence. And another thing is very like interesting things happening is a cardiovascular health care, home care, RPM, DTS convergence. And then I'm going to the Q&A session. Okay, so I actually just brief introduction of myself. I've been in 30 years in mostly in high-tech industry and deep tech industry. Usually means that all the background technology to this healthcare, usually they call health tech or the digital health. So I was in like IT and telecom and the software and or digital, like AI, big data, and other like Web3 and virtual reality, whatever. I've been in that area for 30 years. And then I have intensive experience in research and the innovation and the patent and business development. So by some reason that I focused on particularly healthcare area, depending based on digital technology called they call digital health for a year. Within my 30 years experience in all the background technology. So I look at what the component of digital health in relation to mainstream health. So usually the healthcare like ecosystem means that you have a patient and service provider, so healthcare service provider like clinics and then other like supporting, for example, provider of the insurance or some other like a pharmaceutical for providing the drugs and the medical device company and other biomedical like research industry or something like that. And then I am looking at what in relation to the mainstream of this healthcare ecosystem, what the lore of the digital health, and I found that I divided by them in adjacent to the each area of the mainstream healthcare. So I look at the like for example at the home, like home care, starting from there in hospital, the diagnostics, and then the remote patient monitoring, digital therapeutics, telemedicine, and in the research and like a device for the drug development side, the pharmaceutical related to like a drug discovery and then medical device related clinical trials and something like that. So I figure out that I try to understand what really the current trend, hot issue, and the future indication of this area. And then I look at the intensively what the startup innovation space, and then I select 500 global digital health startups, and then I made this web. And I'm trying to understand that, particularly that what I've seen is that there are a lot of people are interested in digital health, apply AI in healthcare and other digital technology to apply healthcare, but still not maybe industry expert will be agree that the digital health is not recognized mainstream healthcare as we define by the everyday healthcare service we can think about it, right? So you have like a treatment and using the drug and other like standard care therapy, whatever, but still the DTX or other areas still not considered, maybe just complementary some way, but not considered as a main of their everyday treatment, everyday like handling their service to the patient or something like that. So I was looking at this one that with my 30 years experience, I look at what the industry is coming out, and then they grow up over the 3 decades, what happened in the ecosystem. So I try to understand that what with the strategy that actually I've been in healthcare for a year, but I think that it will keep going on from now on. So I'm starting to looking at what kind of area that I can be contribute, and I found that the big title that I'm interested in is how to make digital health as a mainstream healthcare. That's my big topic that I try to contribute over the past of the maybe how long I can do, but anyway. And then I found that there are some strategy that I found that this different area of the digital health sectors can be integrated to make a synergy. That's when I found that, and then by the direction that actually today's talk is that direction. And then my way is actually to understand the current standard, what the issue, and then I focus on the specific topics, and then try to find out the solution. So this is a part of my solution. Okay, so I already like post, many times in my LinkedIn profile and publish it. But anyway, because I look at the individual company level of this about the 200, actually the too cool. And then I'm now, because it's nearly end nearly end of the 3Q, so I'm going to revise this one to the update because when I published this one, actually, there were several more like these are DTX startup founders and executives contact me to include theirs, and I review them. So I have a more list. So it'll be more than 200 in the 3Q update. Anyway, so I found that in the global activities going on, particularly in the digital therapeutics area, that compare with other area, it's very early. That means that I look at for example, their fundraising status, and then their like a clinical trial status, and then FDA clearance or other like in Germany, DIGA clearance, whatever, and the CE mark. And then another thing is like whether they have a health insurance coverage or something like that. So I define, and then another thing is the IPO rate and M&A rate, something like that. I look at the whole things, and my final conclusion is that TTX is still early stage. There are yet to be done a lot of things. So it's kind of the early stage compared to the other area. For example, RPM I have found that there are a lot of the IPO state and then generate a lot of revenue, and more in the telehealth, much is a grow up. So there, I found that there was some asymmetry between different components. And then I also found that that's the way actually the opportunity to integrate with a different sector with the different stages of development, maybe synergy to each other. So that's what I motivate you to think about this convergence. And then this is the one actually that I look at the whole company, and then I provide each company has at least one page about their business profile, product, technology, innovation, and patterns, and investment, and key leadership, and particularly this one is a pain stake for me because I tried to find out all like key leadership in LinkedIn profile, and it was very time consuming to. Anyway, it was a good fun time, and I have also like many people actually already I connected in LinkedIn, and revenue and market, clinical trials and certification like FDA, DIGA, and then health reimbursement status. This is particularly interesting in whether they can be included in the prescription like a DTX space in the like the patient can be benefit from these reimbursements. So this is one actually not just the startup, but looking at the like what the innovation states. So innovation status through the patents can be expanded not only the startup, there will be a lot of the patent application from the like incumbent and other sector like a pharmaceutical and also like a medical device, and particularly research institution like a university, like a medical school, university, or the research institute. So I have a look at this detail and look at the more than 240 patents that I look at the individual one and what the current innovation status of that. So I just categorize them. They cover all different case of disorder, disease, and treatment. Okay, so what I've seen is it's early stage, and then I find that particularly I noticed that to compare to the other industry, I have a look at because I have experienced a lot of the early stage industry before, and then I think that particularly the DT6 is particularly very interesting was that there was not many IPO like up to now, but I found that I only find the 5 recognized peer, in the particular peer therapeutics and better therapeutics and Accuray and RTI Lifestyle. They all have a financial difficulties, and peer bankrupt, better bankrupt, Accuray acquired by some company at low valuation. So maybe this industry requires some particular strategy that I have something have in mind that, and so I work with several people that are interested in collaboration with me, and then particularly currently I'm looking at how to make this situation make better. So my idea is that it's something like that. A lot of people share with my idea that how actually to make this industry is to be recognized by the current mainstream healthcare, and then easily can integrate with the current like everyday like workflow, and then can be easily, for example, doctors or pharmacists can easily recommend this one based on some very strong evaluation, and then easy to like include in their daily routine workflow. So I with my colleague I came up with the idea. Then I'm now developing some method platform to the we call like the DTX adoption platform as a mainstream. And then actually we are now under developing patents. I'm a patent attorney, also inventor, so maybe we will soon file it, and then I will let you know. And I'm thinking about another webinar for that topic. Okay, and then this is the interesting thing. What happened this bankrupt? Actually, it revived. For example, that uh, Care, like Care is this company is particularly their telemedicine company, not DTX company, but they acquire like peers, substance abuse disorder, like FDA cleared like a DTX. There are three type of DTX that they were having for the general and opioid and some like alcohol addiction. And then they acquired it. They launched it within their like a telehealth program. So they provide the patient in remote health care with this kind of topic and provide DTX as a part of their treatment. So this is fantastic, right? Because so innovation and then go IPO and bankrupt, even with that fail will be the reboot again for the like a second life that I mentioned it, and then will be integrate with the other platform and then provide a new service. I like this kind of innovation, and also like a Quick Therapeutics pick up the Battlers app and then they expand their current business to diabetes obesity in a chronic health like a management area. So this is another way like revive it. So I think that this process is a very good from some signal that even if there was some failure in the market, actually they will re-innovate and they will be in the use in like a different with the business model. So I like this kind of approach. Okay, so I also look at the global remote patient monitoring startup landscape. So I just made this one. And then I did the same thing that I look at the individual company level. And then still some of actually this yellow book, actually my intention is to like get attention not only from this segment, actually from other side. So then actually I try to make a best like the knowledge like information for each company, but this all based on my public information. I don't have any like in-house information, but the fortunately for DTX actually I'm going to provide this one to the freely. For the DTX, actually, some of them actually provide their own information revision. So I have the revision and I'm going to reflect in my yellow book. But this still there were three up to now request the like a free copy from the executive of this listed company, but I'm still working on it and then I'm going to revise it. I'm thinking about whether provide them now or maybe update again and then provide it later. But anyway, because I'm going to provide it to freely to the like listed company and then revise it from their like feedback and then disclose later. Okay, and then the status that actually the RPM is really the crucial technology, especially for managing chronic conditions. And then particularly there is a AI is an active OR and the wearable device and continuous health data analytics is very key. So monitoring and continuous data and AI analytics is a key in here. And I found that there are many like firing like startups in here. So maybe and the particularly that I noticed that there was a particularly in the like for example the global standard actually not just the United States, there were a lot of activities in UK and France and I noticed that some of the specialized area that I found was a woman's health care. That's one I found even in the DTX. DTX I found only few, only I think that in my list about, I think that's three, the DTX company, but in here I found several in particular is women's health. And then that I mentioned then later cardiovascular health, and then another with the like mental health that I found out. And I found that there was some different because of the I think that the most difference is the CMS CPT code to your reimbursement. So there was a different way that actually that you claim in RPM and RTM is actually fundamentally, and then their differentiation is different. So I will share this one and you look at the okay, this one. But anyway, I think that the RTM is an integral part of RPM, so I will be include RTM as a part of the RPM. Okay, this is one that actually I currently focus on is that to be included in healthcare solution, usually that require some doctor's prescription, right? So that actually the included in the everyday clinic workflow and can be within the like a doctor's like a recommendation to the patient, and then they should be very seriously scrutinized before actually to be actual use in the patient, right? So I'm particularly interested in what kind of like a good metrics can be construed that to evaluate for providing as a doctor's everyday workflow treatment. So I categorize like a product basics, clinical validation, regulatory certification, privacy security, cost consideration, integration with EHR, UX, usually patient risk, and customer service support and product functionality implementation management. And particularly for DTX and RPM, I found that there was like a Peterson Hashtag Institution. They recently did some area like uh, I found the diabetes and another is MSK. They thoroughly analyzed based on their criteria about they're not including everything, but their some parties some different, and they evaluate intensive evaluation. And also I found that Digital Therapeutic Alliance provides some manual about how to do this one, but I found that this is very time consuming, right? Require a lot of the like scrolling data, like a gathering analysis and different way to look at it. And then even the like a manual like a review by the expert in this field. And you can think about this is like an integration technology and the healthcare, like there's a different expert required to that. So yeah, uh, somebody will do, right? But my interesting is how to automate this one because I just motivated by because I have one time I have experience I have involved in the how to utilizing digital technology to evaluate. They call the ESG. The ESG is a kind of like a climate change rate issue that they try to find out the protocol for the each company to follow, like how to reduce their carbon footprint, whatever. And then and the time actually that try to develop to make this like evaluation of how much there was a progress of a specific company comply with this kind of stuff. Because I found a very similar situation. Usually what I'm liking is that whatever you experience in industry in other industry, and then you can bring that to the another industry you can apply. That's the innovation that I'm also follow that track. And then I have experience before in another industry, and I found that this kind of very similar similarity in the situation and the very complex data require a lot of the data gathering, analysis, and de-evaluation, many steps to involve, and then I found that industry already done that kind of process. So I'm very interested into how to make this one to maybe not most of them will be automated, but I am really interested how much I can do with automatically do this one using AI and big data analytics. So let's just see how much I can go. Anyway, I'm writing a pattern about my idea. Okay, so this is one actually I'm looking at that what the currently if somebody want utilizing their current work like everyday workflow, and then to include to their like prescription like the walkway for the patient, and then through my evaluation that I mentioned about that I select about 50. So I categorize as ADHD, and Ocully is they are very good endeavor is for the like for example, like a adolescent kind of like ADHD the game, and other I found the Alzheimer and Ashima COPD and cardiac care and the GI and then especially mental health and depression anxiety is the most three, and MSK and diabetes and pain and insomnia and constant therapy PTSD. So I found that there are a lot of activities and a lot of the company actually claim that it is already done. It can be used in the patient treatment and monitoring, something like that. I found that the truly like the clinical or medical grade, and then through the thorough like clinical trials, FDA clearance, and reimburse is usually that, for example, the mental has recently CMS code, the provider CPT code relate like a mental health for DTX, and then you know the RPM, RTM, they already have a CPS code, and then including like other like a chronic like management, chronic health management area already their own CPT code. So there are many like a CPT code can be included in the reimbursement stage. So still very early stage because I just categorize them individually. So there are not many options compared with like a drug, like a prescribed drug. You have a cancer, whatever, right? But each symptoms have a hundred like a good drug can be included in the prescription, but this is only available at this time. But anyways, it's early stage, but we need it, and then we need to include more and more as innovation is going, and then that's my expectation. And then with this limited resources to be available, but I'm still thinking about how to utilize this one as to like make adoption of DTX and RPM as mainstream. So that's one I'm thinking about it. So I just want you, ever you have anyone that actually interested in to share with my vision, and then I'm looking for some of the partners and collaborators to work with me. So just let me know if you're interested in to participate with my endeavor. And another thing that I found the why synergy. So I just think about there are many synergies, particularly that the RPM is very much advanced than DTX. For example, they are already used in many clinic, and then they are already in the reimbursement, and then there are a lot of the like clinical approvals even in the real life evidence stuff. But DTX still is early stage, so including them maybe both side of it benefit. So you can look at it like, for example, that enhanced like patient monitoring engagement and data-driven insight is one, and then medication adherence and outcome and the LEMUS model like include them. For example, the funny thing is that the DTX that I mentioned about the mental health, except mental health, there are not yet anything that relate LEMUS code relate purely software app. But I found that there are several cases actually that they got the LEMUS code through the integration with their device, right? So for example, there is so they utilizing already existing CPT code for some frame, right? For example, that virtual reality using the DTX, they are not just only their software, but actually they including the device. Or some company actually utilizing their therapy with even the included iPhone, right? So there was a durable like a device like code or some other like existing reimbursed code can be utilized. So this is so ideal that the collaboration can make a synergy in the early stage. And so I look at this one particularly the telemedicine home care, and I found that the difficulty in this was that the other state space, for example, in the DTX, the problem is to find out who actually categorized as a DTX was a very difficult, and then find out the status very like painstaking. I spent several months doing that. For telemedicine home care, I can easily find out the one, but the problem actually, there are a lot of companies already in the M&A with other big company or part of the big company or already in IPO. So initially I get a lot of data and then I look at the individual company and I only find the day as a label, as a status as a startup. So I include and then I only have this number. But anyway, so they're good enough to be analyzed what the status. Also, I did the same thing. So if you are a listed company, then let me know. I can provide the free copy. And then I really want your feedback to improve my analysis based on purely publicly like disclose information. Okay, so I think that the telemedicine home care is the particularly interesting is recently trend every hospital, big hospital, Johns Hopkins and Mass General and then other like the hospital. They have they operating they call like a hospital at home program, right? So they want to move into the patient to have a health service from their in-house of the healthcare institution to bring to the home. So with that tie with that, actually, I found that this is recently there is a revival of the integration with home care and telemedicine is a trend. And I found that. And I found that several startups already looking at that opportunity. And then so that actually they provide the patient-centered and personalization and then global expansion and it can be easily done in other space in collaboration with other area. So I think that this is a fascinating area that we can look at it. Okay, so I did the same thing. And then particularly I'm looking at the specific area, mental health, because for example, that among the like 200 listed DTS company, I found that around 60 in the mental health. So it's a majority. There's a lot of, I think that this is a main issue in healthcare. I know that there are many problems, like for example, healthcare, like a therapy is very manual, like intensive. And then there are not many therapists and professionals. So actually, I've talked to a lot of the practitioners in here, and everybody talk about that. Even if you have a new admission, like you have an engaged appointment with a doctor, it will take a year or 2 years. And then even you have that, and then you have through the for example 5 weeks or several weeks of the treatment program. Actually, there are a lot of the readmission, right? And then so that means the treatment is not effective, the outcome is not good. So there are, for example, and then access problem, right? So the people can hesitate to go to mental health clinic, and even in asymmetry in the population and many things. So a lot of people know that the problem, and then a lot of the companies actually they're looking at that space. So I think this is a good opportunity that improve that situation better, not only the digital therapeutics and integrated remote patient monitoring and telehealth home care. So I think that maybe each company have their strong point, so they can collaborate each other. So currently, what I'm thinking about is that how actually to make this can happen. So I found that in some literature that there was some pilot or some program only two or three combined. I found that one actually case study combining in DTX RPM or one actually the related telehealth with the RPM, something like that. Very few case studies to actually to take advantage of this convergence. as I told you before that I'm thinking about how to make DTX as a mainstream. So I think about this may be a good opportunity to be this as a mainstream, right? So everything done before in the physical space can done in the virtual space, right? So virtual hospital, virtual home care, and virtual therapeutics right there. So this is another topic I'm focused on, and currently I have an idea about how to implement this as a platform and how to make the pilot happen. So I also like looking for someone interested in this integration, how to implement, how to make a strategy, how to actually make a pilot design or something like that. Just let me know. I'm very interested in this field. So for example, that in the mental health, so integrated care delivery is possible, so more accessible, and informed care decision adjustment in real time is possible, and then personalized treatment is enabled. So compared with like a physical clinic, what they done before, and then this virtual clinic done through this one, right? And then this is really fantastic that we need to explore. And then another thing is like enhancements for the engagement and monitoring, but particularly depression and anxiety requires some like a care and looking at different level like their like current status and the in needs of the patient and enhancement efficacy of the treatment plan and then so optimize TTX intervention, right? Because it's a very good topic and you can think about. And then so through this one, you can generate the real life data and real life evidence that whatever you can improve your TTX. And then in the particularly cost, right? So most value in healthcare is how to reduce cost with add value, right? So this is a tool like things that you can like solve like at the same time like the value up and cost down, right? At the same time, it's a not trade-off, right? So this is the usually that I've been in 20 years. I was in the business school at Boston University School of Management, and then I looking at was at the time we called blue ocean strategy, right? And the blue ocean strategy means that how to make innovation through that not trade-off, but how to make synergetic like integration and then make the like innovation make the value up cost down at the same time. They call blue ocean strategy anyway. So another call is a value innovation. So value innovation, blue ocean strategies enable this kind of like integration and particularly scalability. Okay, so another topic that I'm looking for the cardiovascular health that particularly I'm interested in because we are going to talk about this one in next week. We have I have another webinar that I organized some whole session that I'm going to introduce later. But I'm looking at this will be a good topic to think about it like in cardiovascular, particularly their situation like they can have all kind of different situation. That's I like the cardiovascular is that the situation is you can include emergency, right? And then you can include like, for example, like a long-term care, like, and then you can include like, for example, that like how to treat in a like in the virtual way, right? And then so I think about all the like relevance technology and relevance digital health can be applied in this space. So that's what I particularly found that so already some startup already in the integration, for example, that these companies actually I look at the profile and they already doing integrating DTX and RPM and also like there was one company RPM telehealth. So in the telehealth home care. So some companies already know that there will be synergy, and then I'm interested in whole synergy with this integration. Okay, so I just summarized them how you can do it. You can look at it later. I'm going to share my presentation, and also like I have in general as a whole what the like insight about this convergence in my LinkedIn like the paper. So you can look at my article interested. Okay, I done, and then I just introduced that next week we get together in a session, and then the title was ARX Web3 powered digital health collaboration. So we are very interested in how to make digital health as a mainstream healthcare. So we are going to talk about very different type of this, and then also like we have a in terms of so one of the prevent healthcare we think about cardiology specific area. And then this is anonymous there. We are going to think about what the current state of the AI in healthcare in a different view. A lot of people talk about, I also did before that the A how what's the AI in healthcare, what's the application, what's the benefit or what we in a different view than what the current struggle. Even if AI, there are a lot of the areas AI used in healthcare already, but what the struggles, and then what is there any other kind of the option that we can curate, and then we'll talk about Web3. And another thing that I'm interested in, as I mentioned, that all the like grand integration of the whole digital sectors, the final one that I'm thinking about already done in today topic in the front side, in back side, right? In the supporting, like a drug and clinical trial. And then this side that I come with the idea that so there will another webinar is the AI, particularly large language model and real world evidence power, the clinical trial, the precision drug discovery. I'm particularly interested in integrating clinical trial, precision drug discovery at the same time. So I hope to see you in my the next webinars. Okay, I'm done. Okay, so we still left around 18 minutes more. So I will look at the chat first. Okay, so is there anyone actually that I look at the many comment and question in here. So I more like to interactive. So is anyone start your question or comment to share? Is there anyone? Ari, are you there? Let me check.
So, can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is Stanley. So the presentation was good. What is the target of this presentation? What are we trying to do? I mean, I'm sorry if I've not understood that, but I just want to understand what is the target of this? What are we trying to achieve? It is good to know there are so many companies in the market, startups in the market. They are doing various things. So what is the goal or vision of this?
Oh, okay. So first, this is maybe that I'm targeting, right?
Okay.
So, right. So I'm starting, for example, that 1 year ago, by some reason, I started to interesting in the healthcare, particularly utilizing digital technology, right?
Okay.
And then I'm looking at the first, I try to understand what is meant by the flying technology to healthcare, right? So I understand what the current healthcare ecosystem, right? So I look at the whole for example stakeholders in current healthcare ecosystem, right? So I look at the what they're doing, their law, how the each like a stakeholders integrate, right? So for example, that you know that the current healthcare system stakeholders, patient-centric, but usually in healthcare, patient is very passive, and then provider, right? Because healthcare service provider, hospital, clinic, whatever, right? And then another like a supporting industry, like a drug, right? And then the pharmaceutical and medical device, right? And other supporting research, clinical trials, and the biomedical research. You can think about it, right? And then in the current view of this one, that what the like a digital has law for each stakeholders. That's what I'm looking at, right? So So best way looking at the current status, I'm using two. One is what the company's activities in the space,
Okay.
right? So I look at for example, the startup, because a big company, there are so many, they're doing so many different things, right?
Correct.
So it's a good starting point looking at the startup, because I usually startup focus on just one or two topics, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
that's how I started to looking at it. And then I started first DTX first, right?
Mhm.
Because the DTX I found is I was very curious about how to utilizing software to treatment, right? And then particularly, for example, I'm very interesting how to cure, how to using the DTX for the Alzheimer disease or other things, right? So I
Mhm.
started to looking at what kind of disease or disorders have their current problem. For example, Alzheimer, we're looking at what the current problem. The early detection is very problem, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So usually they lag behind for you. So once you diagnose in the hospital as a dementia or the Alzheimer, that your symptoms started in hidden starting more than 5 years, 10 years ago, right?
Correct.
And
Correct.
then there was a current problem, the pain net, and then how the digital technology can contribute this space, right? And then you can look
Correct.
at it how. So I look at the whole, for example, some startup company looking at how actually you make as early detection. So early detection
Correct.
means that but usually I know that there are a lot of the detection diagnostic using the manual, some of the doctor's interview, and then you just say the answer, your question sheet or something like that. They are very inefficient, and then I found that digital way is a good way, and how to utilizing AI to analyze. So I'm looking at the whole the space, and then looking at the startup, what they're doing. So what
Mhm.
their innovation, and then what their a current patterns. I analyze them, right? So and then
Correct.
I have a good view about, okay, so what the DTX means, and what the current innovation, what kind of startup working in, and particularly in a global space, because of the different global, the jurisdiction have different regulation, different custom. So how the situation as well as the healthcare, and then how to actually detect as a part of the healthcare in digital health can doing. So that's why I might
Correct.
come up with the idea. Then I'm trying to share that. This is my understanding, and then to share with the community, particularly not just for this tech-savvy community, but I found that there are a lot of for example, traditional doctors, and
Correct.
they heard about somewhere in the details, but many people don't know about it. So I tried
Correct.
to promote, some kind of promote my understanding of this industry, and then in the doctor's language, how can be converted to the doctor's language, and then how can make this one can be used as a doctor's everyday work process, right?
Sure.
So
Sure. So
that's
why?
information that I
Yeah. Go
try
ahead. Go
to
ahead.
deliver.
Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can think of other topics, same thing, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do the
Yeah. So
one by one, and then
yeah.
as I look at the one component, the other component. When I'm looking at the details, my view isn't very narrow, right? So looking at this one, and look at the
Right.
RPM other, and then I found that they can be like a much broader view, and then they can be integrated. And I found I already mentioned what the DTX current status. There was the difficulty is the a reimbursement problem, and then for the
Mhm.
reimbursement, you make sure that insurer have very confidence about your outcome with a low cost, right? And then
Correct.
whether the current innovation is meeting to that standard, and then what if it, how actually that the best way strategy can make situation improve, right?
Correct.
And then I
Yeah.
come up with the idea that okay, then and then what's the best way actually to make them, and on that way is they can solve their in-house, right, within the DTX. But I found that, but including in the RPM, they are more advanced, right, because there's more earlier adoption, right? So if they
Mm-hmm.
can be in synergy, they can be integrated. And then I look at another one, and then I found that okay, the whole healthcare service delivery system in the physical space, and then you can get the virtual space and integrating this system with a complete service delivery through this virtual space. So I have come up with the idea that okay, this will be the new business model we can explore, right? And then
Yes.
so that actually I just let you know that my founding, and then what kind of things that current pain neck situation, and then my own way to insight about the what kind of solution can be available. Another thing is that I'm actively working on some solving actual problem.
Sure, sure. So why I basically asked this question is, I just have a friend who's in the medical devices industry. We actually did a study for lung cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So where we can take that, scan images and predict the lung cancer 5 years in advance and
Mm-hmm.
get into a treatment called microwave ablation,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically a heat treatment, non-intrusive treatment for lung cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And the basis of all this, let's say, I am into, trying to get data to look at, the heart disease, kidney disease, because kidney disease goes through 5 stages until we get into the dialysis phase. And cancer is very prevalent. I mean, there are a lot of cancers, even there we can predict, the ovarian cancer, plus the breast cancer with looking at the images and a lot of other things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the challenge is getting to the data, and no one is willing to get the data. And
Mm-hmm.
Stanford in the world and a lot of other companies right now are doing or into this research or into this AI or
Mm-hmm.
into this machine learning of things. Where do they do a pattern matching, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you look at something like you said, Alzheimer's, Alzheimer's is a disease that is over time, that is built over time. There are multiple researchers. Again, you need to have the patient data and a
Mm-hmm.
history of the patient to see what is happening in the lifespan of the patient, to
Mm-hmm.
understand exactly how is this is disease caused. It
Mm-hmm.
cannot be with one reason. There can be multiple reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm wondering. How are we trying to, or how are you trying to, get to that space? Get the data right.
Mm-hmm.
Data is the core of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
One is the reimbursement is a different story.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally different than what we are trying. I mean, what I'm trying to ask, how to get to the point where I can predict a disease, whether Alzheimer's, any cancers, or a kidney disease. For
Mm-hmm.
that, I need to have the patient history,
Mm-hmm.
patient data, or hundreds and thousands of patients' data where I can do a pattern matching
Mm-hmm.
with the health informatics of that patient or a group of patients for that matter,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then again, the group of patients, probably the US, India, some Asian countries or whatever it is again biased to that area or that location of that patient information, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's not particularly your problem. That's a whole problem, right? Because you
Yeah,
talk
yeah, yeah.
about it's a grand challenging problem, right?
Right,
In
right.
healthcare, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then because for example, next week we have a lot of session about the dealing with that one. For
Okay.
example, that's one actually that there are a lot of people talk about Web3 way to sharing healthcare data, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Because of the great problem with healthcare is like healthcare data is very privacy, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very like very very important for the personal profile is in there, right? So
Okay.
once like the breach it, so the privacy and security, the two both problem in healthcare, right? And then you know that
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of products that provide a protocol, like is HICA or whether it's a GDPR, whatever. But that's not
Yep, yep.
enough, right? And then
Correct.
so there are a lot of the activities going on in another industry, like they call Web3 industry. They base
Mm-hmm.
blockchain, so they can like
Mm-hmm.
like anonymize like your data. There are a lot of the encryption ways, and another way like sharing, like exchange data. Like a security and the privacy aware way. And then they develop a lot of the like techniques and system utilizing blockchain, other like kind of like a security measure technology. I know about all activities. I'm very
Correct.
expertise in Web3. I've been more than
Correct.
10 years
Yeah, yeah.
there. And then I'm still down. I'm also trying to developing my own platform.
Okay.
but
Yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
very, for example, that I my experience that I try to like using blockchain to is all like anonymous. So patient data is sit there in there, like in for example in the hospital in the like healthcare,
decentralized.
yeah,
I know.
yeah,
Yeah, I understand what.
I make a for example that the secure like exchange just to leave
Uh-huh.
the data there, and then there are a lot of the, for example, AI have a different algorithm. They can like a decentralized AI or whatever, but
Mhm.
still the mainstream healthcare, like for example, people are hesitate to adopt the technology, right? They suspect,
Correct.
right?
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
my practical thing doing that is that, for example,
Mhm.
recently I contact with the company that
Mhm.
they're developing very similar one, because they're developing for specific cancer type or pancreas cancer, whatever, right?
Pancreatic cancer.
And
Okay.
then
Yep.
they're utilizing large language model to get an insight, because but for the like a training, training is no problem. Like for example, that you can synthesize using the like a generative AI synthesize data with starting from the small number of the data, and then
Mhm.
train, and then you get the small scale you can have it. But actually, you need to actually apply the data, actual data, and the only available publicly is EHR system, public available EHR system, right?
Uh-huh.
And then they can, they also have very difficult to find out, because a lot of the like EHR data is unstructured, 90% unstructured, is bring them to is good, like to make fine tuning the like large language is still a problem. But even with that, they ask me, well, what is the strategy? I said that, okay, contact the specific clinic. They will have
Mhm.
a record to have an experience with the particular type of the patient in their EHR
Correct.
system, right?
Right.
And
Yep.
then try to ask them to what's the value that actually collaborate with you, and then clinic will have a value, because for example they have a more valued service to their like a cancer patient, for example, that for the like a precision medicine type required what kind of drug actually fit into the particular patient population way. So that's the only way currently. Right? Just
Okay.
that. Then my experience, all thing data will be there, and then you cannot take out anyone from the hospital.
Correct.
But anyway, you
Yeah.
will get the result.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, Alex, I'm connected with you. I'm let me not. Yeah. So, what I will do is I'll reach out to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you. I'll tell you what I am in the process of and
Mm-hmm.
what I research,
Yeah,
what I
I
did.
like that. I already think about it. I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
a lot of the contact asking me about, and also think about some practical solution for that. So I welcome your contact, and then let's discuss about it.
yeah. I'll have to jump on another call, but sure. I will do that. I'll connect with you. I'm already connected with you on LinkedIn. So let me do that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It was a great session, great learning, by the way. Thank you very
Thank
much. I
you.
appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
Robot, do you have any question or comment?
I made a comment, and first of all, Alex, I thought this was very informative. Would love to get the slides. One of the big issues, and I've developed DTX, but this is over the last 4 or 5 years, was in reimbursement, diagnosis, and treatment. The one issue with getting it all started is on the patient view, the physician view, to be able to. And I wondered if you had some examples where you overcome some barriers. One thing with patients, this technology, I love it, but it's often a barrier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
I
true.
guess I was saying if you had any experience or had any, any background that I could find.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there anyone that have to provide some your insight to the robot comment? Robot, why don't you connect in Radar, and then then we can discuss further. I know that you're in Boston, right? So
Yeah, I'm in the Boston area, and
yeah, so we can meet in person, right?
yeah, sure.
Or if you can have a time next to Tuesday or Wednesday,
Yeah, I can make
especially
time
the
next.
Wednesday,
Yeah.
Tuesday on 1 p.m. is my session.
Okay.
And then if you want, I can ask the organizer the free ticket for that. So
That would be great.
okay, so I will let the organizer to give you a turn and ask the organizer to give you a free ticket, and then we can see in person next Tuesday.
Great. That sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, it's almost time. Is there anyone? Just one question, one comment more? Okay, thank you for attending today's webinar. So I hope to see you in next time. Also, like welcome anyone in comment after this webinar, or that I really welcome that you whatever you're doing. I'm in the same boat. Like I have a look at all the details, every aspect of the problem, challenges, and then also think about what will be the innovation, what kind of things in this software. So just contact me and then let's share each other's view and insight about that particular problem to get the best solution. Okay, thank you and have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.